So, who really discovered America? You think you know the answer, right? It's a story most of us learned in grade school. But what if I told you that story is just, well, one tiny piece of a much, much bigger and way more interesting puzzle?
Yeah, this is the name that pops into everyone's head. Christopher Columbus, 1492. It's practically a brand. But was he actually the first one here? Was he even the first European? You see, the moment you start asking those questions, the whole story we thought we knew begins to unravel.
All right, let's really get into it. To find the actual first people in America, we gotta rewind the clock. And I don't mean by a few hundred years. We're talking thousands upon thousands of years. This story doesn't start with sails and ships. It starts with footsteps. So let's start at the very beginning, with the true pioneers. And you know what's so fascinating is that even this part of the story, the part that scientists were pretty sure they had locked down, is changing in some absolutely huge ways right now.
Okay, check this out, because this is like watching science evolve in real time. For a long, long time, the go-to story was the Clovis first theory, right? About 13,000 years ago, people walked across a land bridge from Asia to Alaska. Simple. But then, bam! Archaeologists find human footprints in New Mexico that are 23,000 years old. That one discovery literally doubled how long we know people have been here. And now some scientists are even pushing that back to 30,000 years ago, suggesting maybe they came by sea, hugging the coastline. It just keeps getting older.
Okay, so people were here for tens of thousands of years. We got that. But what about the first contact from across the ocean? Who were the first outsiders to arrive? Well, I'll tell you this, it definitely wasn't Columbus.
For hundreds of years, you had these incredible Norse sagas, these epic poems telling stories of Vikings sailing to a far-off land they called Vinland. And for the longest time, that's all people thought they were, just stories. Adventure tales, folklore. I mean, where was the proof?
And this is the moment where legend just smacks right into hard reality. In 1960, at a place called Lands aux Meadows in Canada, archaeologists dug up the proof, the actual physical remains of a Viking settlement. Those epic stories? Turns out they were totally true. The Vikings were here. And thanks to some pretty amazing modern science, we can get incredibly specific. We can date their presence there to the year 1021. Just think about that for a second. That means Vikings were living and working in North America almost 500 years before Columbus was even born. Wild.
But here's the thing. The Atlantic wasn't the only ocean being crossed. While all that was happening, on the complete other side of the world, some of the greatest navigators in human history were making unbelievable journeys across the vast Pacific.
So the first piece of evidence here is a vegetable. No, really, the sweet potato. It's a plant from the Americas, but somehow it was a staple food all across Polynesia centuries before any Europeans showed up. How did it get there? Well, the clue is in the name. The Polynesian word for it, kumala, is almost identical to the word in the Andes, kumara. For linguists, a connection like that is basically a smoking gun. It's what they call near proof of contact. And if the sweet potato wasn't enough, modern science came in and sealed the deal. A huge study in 2020 found undeniable DNA evidence of intermixing between Polynesians and Indigenous South Americans, probably happening sometime around the year 1200. We don't know for sure if Polynesians sailed east or South Americans sailed west, but what we do know is they met. They absolutely met. Now, of course, once you get past the hard scientific proof, history is just littered with other claims. Some are pretty intriguing and, well, some are a little more out there. Let's take a quick look at a few. So, you might have heard of this one, the Solutrean hypothesis. The idea is that Stone Age people from Europe crossed the Atlantic ice to get to America. And the main evidence is that some of their spear points kind of look like the Clovis points found here. But there's one massive, glaring problem. There's a 3,500-year gap between when the Solutreans disappeared in Europe and when Clovis culture appeared in America. That's a huge disconnect that most scientists just can't get past. And what about all those out-of-place artifacts? People claiming they found ancient Roman coins or Chinese anchors. It sounds amazing, but the reality is usually a lot less dramatic. Those Chinese anchors? Turns out they were made of local California rock, used by Chinese-American fishermen in the 1800s. And the Roman coins? Well, they were probably just scooped up with sand used for ballast in much later ships and then dumped in an American harbor.
And then, of course, you've got the great legends. Awesome stories about an Irish monk, Saint Brendan, sailing to America in a boat made of leather. Or a Welsh prince named Madoc who supposedly started a colony of Welsh Indians. These are fantastic national myths, for sure, but without a single shred of archaeological proof, they have to stay in the world of folklore, not actual history. So let's recap. We've got people here for over 20,000 years. We've got Vikings here nearly 500 years before Columbus, Polynesians too. So the big question is, why is Columbus the one guy we all remember? The answer isn't about who was first, it's about what happened next. And here is the absolute key to the whole thing. The Viking visits, the Polynesian contact, they were temporary, they didn't last. But Columbus, his voyages kicked off the first permanent, sustained contact between the hemispheres. He created a permanent link. He didn't discover a new world, he connected two very old worlds in a way that could never be undone. And that permanent connection led to this, what we call the Columbian Exchange. It was a mind-boggling, planet-altering transfer of everything. Plants, animals, diseases, people, ideas. Horses and wheat came to the Americas, along with devastating diseases like smallpox. And in return, the Americas sent potatoes, corn, and tomatoes back to the Old World, changing diets everywhere. For better and, absolutely, for worse, the entire planet was rewired forever. Which brings us to this really powerful thought from the historian Fernando Ortiz. Discovery, you see, really depends on where you're standing. For the millions of people already living here, 1492 wasn't a discovery of their home. It was the sudden, world-shattering arrival of something entirely new. So maybe the real question isn't who discovered America, but what does it even mean to discover a place that's already been home to millions of people for thousands and thousands of years?